Hello and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. My name's David OC and today we're reviewing the best value car on the market, and in fact it's the cheapest 7-seater for sale today by quite a substantial amount. And today we're going to be talking about it, going for a drive, seeing how much space there is in each of those seats, and of course giving our overall impressions. However, before we begin, I want to talk about the different specs. So the entry level, 25,000 euros, or actually just under, and for that you're getting 7 seats. So that's about 3.5 grand a seat, which is really good value, and that's for the essential. Then there is the Expression, that one costs a little bit more, and then there's this, the Extreme SE, which costs about 28 grand. It's probably the one to go for because it's extremely extreme, but also comes with a few other bells and whistles that are quite nice. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm in my late 20s. I ain't going to be buying a Dacia Jogger because thankfully I don't have 5 kids yet. However, my job as a car reviewer is to step into the shoes of someone who might be and see what they're looking for. Is it good value? Is it the right car for me and my kids? In this review, we're going to be finding out. So if you'd like to subscribe, then please feel free to. And if you'd like to search for Dacias for sale, hit the link up there. Now, before we get into the design and looking through it, let's talk about what you get for your 25,000 euros. You get LED lights as standard on all models. Cruise control also comes as standard. Rear parking sensors come as standard, and on the Expression and the Extreme SE you also get front sensors and a reversing camera. A 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine comes with 110 brake horsepower, and it powers the front wheels through a 6-speed manual gearbox. In 2023 we do expect a hybrid version which will be automatic, but for now this is the only engine option available. From the Expression model up, you get this 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system here, and what's more is it's actually wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They haven't discriminated against Android Auto. All versions come with these roof rails, and they're actually adjustable, so you just pop that open, unscrew it there, and then you can have them going across. And if you could fit 5 kids' bikes on the roof, then you could technically put them there, although I think 2 to 3 is more realistic. Another thing that I like is that on this Extreme SE version you get, of course, the Renault key card that's now in the Dacia, but you just leave that in your pocket and it's keyless entry. Step within 5 feet, it opens. Step away, it's not doing it now. It never works on camera. Hill start assist, so what that is when you're on a big hill like this, you put it in gear, it will hold the handbrake until the clutch bites. Just makes taking off a little bit easier. And last but not least, and it's actually not last, just last in this segment, is that with every Dacia Jogger you get 3 years warranty or up to 100,000 kilometers, which, being able to drive worry-free in something that you're going to have all your kids in, that's what it's all about. So let's talk about the design, because it is very familiar from the front, because it's essentially a Dacia Duster, which is a well-known car. And as we make our way along the side, this Extreme SE version has a few little things that sets it off. These 16-inch black alloy wheels, I actually think they kind of make the car look a whole lot better. Then you've also got these kind of, I don't know what you call them, paint protector things there, black wing mirrors. Here's where it gets really interesting. Now, I know we already spoke about the roof rails, but as you can see, the car just takes a swift up, and that's about 40 mil, and the reason for that is because they want to have extra space in the rear for rear passengers' headspace, and it does pay off, but it does look a little bit strange along the side. Make your way back, this window opens for that 3rd row, which is quite cool. And then this back angle, it's quite an unusual one. Here's where we're almost seeing a little bit of Volvo in the rear lights. And then of course, you've got the Jogger badge down there, the Dacia badge here. Do you want to know how extreme this one is? 007 has his name on it. Now, in terms of boot space, well, to begin with, for a 7-seater, it's not actually terrible. 213 litres, that's more than a Mercedes EQB. So that's a good start, but it gets better. You can fold these rear seats down. That side of it is quite easy, but the next side where you actually flip them forward is a little bit kind of fiddlier, but it's actually working quite well for me right now. And when you fold them the whole way down, you get 712 litres. And then if you fold that middle row of seats down, you get a whopping 2,000 litres. That is a whole lot of litres for a whole lot of activities. I've got flies all over my face. Just go down to your local dealer, see what it's like. But in terms of space, it's ticking all the boxes. So let's actually sit into some of these seats. So space in the normal rear is actually pretty generous, good bit of knee room, loads of headspace. That's thanks to that kind of lift up halfway through. And I really like this. There's a little table here for your kids, and what's more is the phone can fit in there and they can watch as they go along. Just a simple way of having TV on the back of the seats. The fly has even followed me into the car. It's quite flyy up here. Anything else to notice in here is that there's a 12-volt socket, and that's just about it. However, I do want to check out the back seats because they are quite roomy. Now, to get to there, all you do is pull this little lever here and it slides down, and then you can actually lift this up all the way like that, but the reality is your kids will just jump in and they should fit in quite snugly. And actually, to be fair, if I pull this back, do you know what? A 7-seaters go. It's really roomy back here. We've got some cup holders, a good decent bit of knee room, and most importantly, headspace. Most of these 7-seaters are sitting like this when you're as tall as I am. Now, in terms of space on the interior, if you've come from a Dacia, it'll be a very familiar place. It's quite nice, to be fair. It doesn't feel as budget in here as the price suggests. Kind of a nice material there, and then I really like the practicality of it. I think they just grasped it so well, what families want. They want 2 USB charge points, one here, one up here. They want somewhere to put your phone, so they built it in, and it even takes a large phone. They've also put in a 12-volt socket. Simple things like the climate control is adjusted on these really big and actually quite premium knobs. There's heated seats in this Extreme SE version. I mean, what more could you want in a car? It literally has it all. The steering wheel, actually quite pleasant to touch. And I like it that despite it being essentially a 4 or 5 spoke steering wheel, there's still somewhere nice here to rest your hand on a long journey. Armrest here, armrest here. It just genuinely has it all. And I'm not even a salesman for them. I just think it's ticking a lot of boxes. But the reality is, if you are looking at buying a 7-seater, then chances are you like having fun. So I think it's time to go for a drive. To drive, surprisingly, the 1-litre petrol engine is enough. I didn't think it would be in a 7-seater, and maybe with 7 large people in the car it's not, but with myself and maybe 2 or 3 others in the car, I have to say, particularly at lower speeds, it's quite punchy, it's quite nippy, and there's a good bit of torque. That said, on the M50 at some higher speeds, when you go to overtake, it is a little bit sluggish, but we'll let it away with that because the reality is this is probably a school run car, and for that, it's definitely enough. In terms of its size and volume, it's actually pretty narrow, which is quite nice, particularly around small little tight roads and streets. It doesn't feel like you're in a massive BMW X5. It feels very much like a Duster, which is a good thing. And actually to park, again, really easy. This one having the reversing camera and the parking sensors at the front helps substantially. Mirrors are good, visibility is also pretty good, and so it is a relatively easy car to drive. The suspension, really soft. I wonder how that would change with 7 people in it. I don't know, but I can imagine it should still be fine. And I have to say, it's really good. My only complaint is this little phone holder. Whilst it is good, when I drive over some bumps without my phone in it, it makes a little kind of loose spring noise that isn't ideal. I'll see if I can replicate it here. I'm struggling, but you can take my word on that. And other than that, to drive, it's a lovely car. I mean, it's not fancy, it's not too premium, but it is what it is, and it will get you from A to B and then back to A again. So far, it looks like the Jogger is getting the full 5-star review for me. However, there is an elephant in the room and a couple negatives that you must know before pouncing on buying one. So, to begin with the elephant in the room, the Dacia Jogger, it only got a 1-star ncap rating in the crash test, and the reason for this isn't anything to worry about. It's to do with some of the electronic safety features, things like the emergency braking, which it has. However, it doesn't detect people, only cars, so that naturally knocked it down. And another thing is that it doesn't have sensors to know whether the rear seat belts are on, and it does in the center row but not in the third row. So these are all things that just got stacked against it, but structurally I think it scored 70 or 80%, so it is still a solid car, but it's just something you should know. Other things that have bugged me a little bit with it, at the lights, if you leave the engine running, it does actually kind of wobble a little bit. It's not the smoothest at the lowest revs. And lastly, I think Dacia may have missed the boat a little bit when it comes to ISOFIX points, as there's only 2 throughout the whole car. And I just think if you're buying a 7-seater, you might want to take 3 or 4 child seats. So maybe that's one little strike against it. However, all that aside, it is a fantastic package, and I think cars like this, they genuinely excite me because they've gone with a strict budget. They've produced a car for as best value as they can, and it's actually got quite a lot of creature comforts. It does look relatively well as well, and it definitely will mean that a lot of families can get into a car that will be affordable and be able to take the full family. So for that reason, I do like it. And what's more is it is relatively efficient. That 1-litre engine is actually quite nice in terms of fuel efficiency. You should see around 5 litres per 100 kilometers. Now, that is it for me. My advice, if you're going to buy one, probably splurge and go all out and get the Extreme SE one, because you may not get the 007 reg, but you will have a well packaged car. And what's more is, I actually saw Dacia advertising it as €7 a day. I love that approach. I feel like very many manufacturers are just going with premium, and Dacia are just giving the people what they want. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. If you have, then please don't be like the flies and subscribe, and make sure to search for any new cars for sale from the link up there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.